Today on Inspired Money.
When do you get that a lot, that people look at you like you're nuts?
Yes, yes, I get that a lot. I get that a lot. I'm like, so here we go again. I have cerebral palsy. I've been doing this and done. I'm very, I won't say loud, but I'm very opinionated.
This is episode 68 with author, journalist, podcaster, artist, and athlete, Win Charles. Welcome to Inspired Money. My name is Andy Wong, a managing partner at Runnymede Capital Management. Each week, we bring you an interesting person to help you get inspired, shift your perspectives on money, and achieve incredible things. From making it to giving it away, Inspired Money means making a difference, creating something bigger than oneself, and maybe, just maybe, making the world a better place. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Inspired Moneymaker. Welcome back. If it's your first time listening, welcome. Inspired Money is different from other personal finance podcasts because we don't want to just learn how to live with money. We want to put money in a positive light to inspire ourselves to live richer lives, make a greater impact, and together, make the world a better place. Thank you for joining me on this mission. Today we're talking to Win Charles. She's authored 8 books. She's a podcast host and motivational speaker. In 2002, she carried the Olympic torch. This is impressive under any circumstance. But Win was born with cerebral palsy, making her achievements even more inspiring. She's overcoming obstacles every day, and I'm honored to have her on the show. In this episode, you'll learn how a can-do attitude can carry you far, even in the face of physical disability. Win's mindset of just rolling with it is advice that can benefit all of us. And then, rather than putting a focus on our differences, we should come to understand what we all have in common. Now let's get inspired with Win Charles.
Win, welcome to Inspired Money. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I love to start by asking, what's your earliest childhood memory of money?
My first early childhood memory of money, and the reason why I still have it is because I'm too lazy to change my screen name on my bank account. And so every time I log in, I'm like, oh God, here we go with the old screen name that I've had since the age of 10, believe it or not. But I remember getting my bank account at early age, and yeah.
That is a good, solid beginning. So when you have cerebral palsy, but you've never allowed your disability to define you, I understand that your parents didn't even tell you about it until you were in the 7th grade. Can you tell me what it was like growing up in Colorado?
Yep, that is true. And I was very lucky. I had the financial means to go to a private school where I teach at, where I will be teaching for the next 2 years. And even though I put in my resignation and did all that, they still don't want me to leave. I don't know why, because probably they love the diversity factor, but because of the small paycheck in education, I'm like, this is nuts. So I was very lucky enough to have the finances to go to a private school. Now, I believe that 529 plans can be used in K through 12 education.
Yeah, and even college and postgraduate.
Yes. So that's always a good thing. So if you guys set up a 529 plan, which my parents never did, thank you very much. So as a result, I have one small student loan. I'm not drowning my student loan, but I'm planning to pay that off by September 22nd with all the podcasting interviews I'm doing, because I'm hoping that I will make enough book sales to pay off my student loan. That was my ultimate dream. And so the day I hit the go button on that, which will be September 22nd, I'll ever be so happy, because even though I'm getting my MFA in the next couple of years here, my master's in creative writing, the program that I have already applied to says they offer a boatload of scholarships, plus a brand new Mac computer, plus, and I applied to Full Set University, and plus my credits from my associate's degree will transfer in, which makes educational dream, because if you start out with no credits, that leads to a heck of a headache and heck of an expense report too.
Education is not getting any cheaper, unfortunately.
You're telling me. You're telling me, and I'm on FAFSA. When I first told my dad, who I lived with, that I was doing this, that I was going back to college to get a degree in something, he goes, he looks at me with the straightest face ever. He goes, you get on FAFSA now. And I'm like, well, and he did it in a car too. And we were going somewhere. And I'm like, by the time we got to where we were going, I'm like, well, that's my decision. I'm applying for FAFSA as soon as I get home.
When I don't know how you do so many of the things that you do, you have your Ask Win podcast, and I took a look. You're approaching 300 episodes. You do jewelry design. You're an author of many books. How many books have you written?
I have written 8 books underneath my name, and some of those are anthologies, which means I collaborated with people. I don't do that much anymore unless I'm truly persuaded by who's ever leading the project. I don't even do it anymore with the original collaborator who got me into it. So I was a self-taught digital artist that's why you mean jewelry design. I was a self-taught digital artist from 2006 to 2009, because I had to make an income for myself. And I actually did fairly well at that before I gave it all up to go write books, because at the time I was stuck in a situation where I thought it was only going to be 1 year, and it turned out to be from 2006 to 2009 that I was in the internship from hell in education, that I admitted the internship from hell. And I just found out today, actually, that why I felt so icky walking into that classroom, because my boss was basically, she was bipolar, and she couldn't keep stuff to herself. And a lot of, in that setting, a lot of bosses can keep their other teachers' stuff confidential, including my boss.
I'm sorry to hear that. So today, what do you feel is your purpose and passion?
Well, other than being a freelance journalist and making money, my purpose and passion is just to inspire people with my books, and inspire people with my articles, and inspire people with my podcast, which, by the way, you won't make $1 million podcasting. Don't think you will. And you may make $1 million off your books if you get your search engine optimization right or SEO, but you won't make $1 million off of podcasting.
It is tough. People are really trying to figure out how to monetize their podcast. Is the book business much better?
Yes. The book business is much better, and I'm noticing that my autobiography that I wrote back in 2010 and came out in 2011 still sells to this day. And then I'm also noticing I just got my report from ACX, which is a Amazon company, which you can produce your books into audiobooks. I'm also noticing that audiobooks are on the rise too because we're all so busy.
Yes, and in the popularity of podcasts now, because it allows us to listen
exactly.
and multitask. We can be in the car, or you can be in the kitchen washing your dishes. That's what I do, at least.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your autobiography. Is that the title is I Win?
Yes, I win. And Win is actually my legal name. It says WIN on my birth certificate. And so I thought, why not stick a I in front of it and just leave it at that? And it's been the best selling title ever since. And so people seem to attract to I win. I don't know why. Because how I did it was I did it in a tasteful way, and I got my mother's permission as she was dying. Thank you very much. She was in medically induced coma due to meningitis, and she went into the hospital with a slow leaking aneurysm, and it all went downhill from there, basically. They clotted the aneurysm, then a bunch of hockey players came in with meningitis. She caught meningitis, and it all went downhill. So as she was dying, I walked in there one day, her medical machines are beeping 1,000 miles a minute. I say, I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom. Over 1,000 times. And of course, she was parked right by the nurse's station. The nurse's station are so used to beeping machines that they didn't even come in to turn the beeping machines off. I had to turn the beeping machines off to even get my questions in by saying, I love you, Mom, I love you, Mom, I love you, Mom. And then when I got the beeping machines turned off, I was able to ask the questions so that I wasn't talking over beeping machines. And one of the only questions I asked her is I said, as you leave this world, I would like to write a book on my life with cerebral palsy, being raised by an incredible mom like you, and being raised by an incredible dad like my dad, who I still live with. And she goes, yes, as long as you do it tastefully, meaning don't spill too many family secrets. So then I developed I win in a taxi cab, and it took me a year to write it. I was lucky enough to do a leadership workshop presented by a group that helps the disabled, and they wanted me to create a vision board. And I said on that vision board, I want to write a book. This was 10 months after my mom had died. Everyone thought I was nuts, including my dad. My dad looked at me like you're nuts. And I gave myself a year, and we were lucky enough to meet again with that leadership workshop again in that year. And I said, I got my big project done, which now my big project is at the editors, and I'm planning to publish this book.
When do you get that a lot, that people look at you like you're nuts?
Yes, yes, I get that a lot. I get that a lot. I'm like, so here we go again. I have cerebral palsy. I've been doing this and I'm very, I won't say loud, but I'm very opinionated.
Yeah, I get the sense that you have this very strong spirit that cannot be limited or held
Yeah,
back. Like
no,
you kind of set your mind to something and you're going to do it.
yes, yes, exactly.
It's so beautiful that you have such a strong can-do attitude. Where do you think that comes from? Does that come from the upbringing that your mom and dad gave you?
Yes, and it also comes from my grandmother. My mom, and this is her other disability that she kind of hid. Um, it, I knew that she was battling it, but she hid it from her girlfriends, and she was a graceful mom at it. Her dad died of asthma in the 60s, and so she got asthma too. And so I have, as a result, I have weakened lungs due to my CP. I also have a higher risk for asthma than the average person due to my family history. But she had a can-do spirit, um, like there was no tomorrow, and she she as she was recovering from the brain aneurysm, she walked to the shower and took a shower, and then they had to push her back, but at least she walked to the shower and she was making lists like there was no tomorrow, even as she was recovering from a brain aneurysm. So they caught it the brain aneurysm, but it got taken down by meningitis. And one of the things I made a promise to myself before I left the hospital, I said, I will take care of my lungs. I will get a degree in journalism and I will publish a book. And so far, I have done all those um, aspects of my life.
Yeah, you've done well to keep those promises.
Yep, yep.
When do you have days when you don't think that you can accomplish things? Or
What do I have a day when I don't think I can accomplish things? Uh, I am. I'll admit to you guys right now. I am not super human, especially when I read. And I don't know, Andy, if you host on Lipson or not, Lybsyn, but I I just read this morning in their newsletter they had their big podcast movement conference last week, and they go, "Happy after 1 week of podcast movement, happy homecoming. Here's what you can expect." And they said, well, unfortunately, Facebook has changed their permissions not to let you post your podcast on Facebook. And they go, never know moment. And I'm like, great! I don't want to do this anymore because I know people listen to, even though I'm not on Facebook, my assistant is, and I know people listen to my podcast on Facebook. So before I got on this interview with you, I had one of those great moments. I don't want to do it anymore. I give up. I give up on the podcast. But then I thought, well, if I give up on the podcast, people are not going to get to hear me in their earballs. So I'm like, ugh, let's do this again. Let's figure out with Lipson whether they can figure out the Facebook algorithms, and they're going all of it. No, I mean, they have all those thousand customers. I know they do. And so, including me. And so, because the podcast industry is changing 1,000 miles a minute, yeah, you kind of have to go with the punches.
so is that how you crush those thoughts and move forward? You just say, oh, I have to Is it that easy?
I have small punches, yes, and to give you update personally, I I gave up a 20-year-old bike after 20 years. I bought that bike in 1995. Actually, my dad bought it for me because I wanted a bike. I was a 12-year-old, so he took me to a specialized bike shop, 5 hours away from me. Thank you very much. And he said, "Well, pick a bike," and I picked a bike and almost fell over in the bike shop on the bike. And then the guy said, "Well, we can make win a custom bike." Turns out, um, the person made me a bike that was way too complex and didn't really teach me how to use it. So I finally gave that up last night in a safe place. It's actually with my best girlfriend, who's also my assistant, and she's thrilled. But I'm in the process of getting an e-bike, e-bike, which is a little bit more expensive my original bike, but my dad nicely said, "I'm going to buy you a bike," and I said, "Okay, great." And so that's one of the things I'm working on now, and so it's a little e-bike's a little bit more expensive than my original becoming bike, and I'm like, oh my god, you're spending money on an e-bike because he's doing it because he loves me.
Will you be using that for exercise or for transportation?
I will be using it for both. I need all the exercise I can get, like everyone else on the planet,
Yes.
but I will also be using it for fun transportation reasons. I mean, I get away with hell on my bike. I get to ride it on malls. I even called the city of Aspen to approve this e-bike, and they go, "We want when to have fun. We approve the e-bike." That would yesterday drama because most of these e-bikes, even though they are street legal, they have different classifications, and most of these e-bikes are not allowed on the trailheads. So you may want to look at your trailheads in your city or town to make sure e-bike is allowed. They just approved the law in Aspen, Colorado, where I'm based, about e-bikes only a couple months ago too. So,
Wow. You are a dynamo. You're always on the move.
yep,
And yes,
try to
indeed,
be.
wind can have fun.
When can I have fun and get away from the podcast and get away from the work? If I don't, as soon as I get to e-bike, I'll be getting away from my work again. It's only because I don't have a bike right now. I'm stuck working, and so although I thought about it yesterday, if you want a good bike, get an e-bike, or if you want to do something healthy for yourself, go I thought about it yesterday as I was walking in a $65,000 robot. Thank you very much. So if you want a cheap exercise, the cheapest exercise I've found other than walking is, believe it or not, rock climbing.
What is that?
Rock climbing.
Oh, okay.
Using a rock climbing wall, because most YMCA's have a rock climbing wall. All you need is an instructor. They provide the shoes. They provide the helmet. And basically, and if you want to go outside too, that's even a cheaper experience. So I would say to your listeners, getting back to the aspect of finance, forget the gym membership. You're all gun ho in January to use it. Then February comes and you say, "I don't want to go to the gym." And then, so figure out what's good for you and what's good for your budget. You don't have to do the gym membership if you don't want to. I don't have a gym membership. Quite frankly, I did and used it but now I don't. I pay for my PT, obviously, but it's not through a gym membership.
Do you go rock climbing?
I do. I do. That's why I'm saying the cheapest sport on the planet. I do. I go rock climbing once a week.
Coming up, we talk about healthcare and disability, Wynn's dream of bringing disabled and non-disabled worlds together, and more. But first, I'm not too proud to admit that Wynn can outdo me.
Good for you. For me, I have a little fear of heights, so I think I'd rather walk.
Well, don't do it. Don't do it. If you have a fear of heights, don't do it.
The show notes for this episode can be found at inspiredmoney.fm/068. If you're listening in your car or wherever you are, check the show notes if you want to learn more about Wynn or things mentioned in this episode. It's time for the Runnymede Money Tip of the Week. It's the season of giving, and charitable giving has traditionally been viewed as an activity for grown-ups, or at least soon-to-be grown-ups. But a recurring theme on Inspired Money is the power of giving. Some say that giving is living, and there are significant advantages of parents including their kids in their personal philanthropy at an earlier age. Involving kids in your family charitable activities, it's an ideal way to pass on your own deeply held personal values and to instill a charitable sense, helping them to learn key lessons about financial management and responsibility. Here are 3 suggestions for getting your kids or your grandchildren involved. Number 1, build perspective from the beginning. It's never too early to talk about your charitable passions with your kids. Enthusiasm is contagious, and you'll likely soon find them following up, asking questions and offering to help. Number 2, engage children in philanthropic decisions. As children become a bit older, they'll have their own ideas about what interests them. Encourage children to adopt their own causes and begin to involve them in your charitable decision-making. Number 3, make volunteering a family activity. Volunteering is a great way to build a child's character and self-esteem. They'll acquire new skills, develop confidence and maturity. It can also put their own problems into perspective, meeting people from other backgrounds, and giving them an opportunity to learn teamwork and civic responsibility. Even though I said it's the season of giving, when you listen to this episode, it doesn't matter. Involve your children in these pursuits year-round, not just during the holidays. That's the Runnymede Money Tip of the Week. Inspired Money is brought to you by Runnymede Capital Management. We help you to plan, invest, and worry less. So what's your biggest financial challenge right now? Do you need help setting up an IRA, Roth IRA, or other retirement account? Maybe you need help with your charitable giving. We can help. Email me at awang@runnymede.com. That's RUNNYMEDE.com. Or go to inspiredmoney.fm/Andy. I'd love to hear from you, and we can even schedule a short call since it can be much easier to talk money. You're listening to Inspired Money. I'm Andy Wong.
When I've heard people with disabilities talk before about receiving benefits and sometimes almost being penalized for working. Like if they make too much, they'll give up important benefits. Is that situation, does that apply to you?
Yes, that definitely applies to me because I am on Obamacare. I also receive SSI, which is Social Security income. Even though I do work, I receive SSI because my dad's retired, and I do receive SSI. Thank you, Dad. But I thought we were going down there to a local Social Security office. I thought I was going down there just as to support him. Well, when they started interviewing me, I'm like, the is going on? And they started interviewing me and asking me how much I make, and this was all the deal conference. And unbeknownst to me, I am getting SSI because of my dad's retirement.
You have this will to work and this will to become financially independent. But do you have to do that with limitations? Like, Are you worried about making too much? Do you have to keep it below a certain threshold?
Well, according to Medicaid, I make too much now. And so I can only work um, 1 day a week. I can only make $1,000 a month. And that goes by the state of Colorado.
Yeah, I think that there was one individual who I was listening to his story, and I read about him a little bit. I can't remember the details. I think that he relocated to Mexico because
Yeah.
somehow that would allow him to work. And in his case, it was unique because I think his father had lost his job, and suddenly he felt like he had potential to build a business that would allow him to help his parents. And so he moved to Mexico. I think he left the United States, and somehow then he was able to earn a bigger income. And I don't know how the benefits worked, but he actually had to make changes like that and relocate.
And that's why I'm actually leaving the education field in the next 2 years, so I don't have to worry about that. Even though Medicaid is a blessing to all of us, Medicaid has its restrictions. There are too many things I want to do, and right now, Medicaid, I'm not so concerned about Social Security income, but I am concerned about Medicaid. And it's like, really, you guys? Really? And most people don't have the financial blessings that I do. They don't have a trust fund, number one. They don't have the luxury of not paying rent, number two. Um, my Because I live with my dad, I get the blessing of the not paying rent, and they have to work, but it's a catch 22.
It is a catch-22.
Do you want to work and keep yourself healthy? I would rather work. I would rather work and keep myself healthy. So, but that's why I'm leaving the educational space in 2 years, because I don't want to worry about that. Yeah, as I keep telling people, I can only make $1,000 a month to stay on Medicaid, and I'm like, FUCK Medicaid. I don't want to deal with you anymore.
So Win, what are your dreams and aspirations? I'm assuming you want to continue growing your podcast. Will you be writing more books?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To what extent are you doing the motivational speaking?
Well, as soon as I get rid of the day job, I will be doing more of the motivational speaking. I will still have my podcast, but I will be living off my trust. My trust is not for my books. It's not going to be funding my books. My book money, my book sales money will be my fund money, and the trust is to keep me going.
To help you cover living expenses and medical expenses?
Cover health insurance and to mainly cover my aids, because I require 7 day a week help.
Yeah, you do so many things that it's easy to forget that that you need aids to help you out.
Oh, by the way, I have cerebral palsy. Let's throw that into the next. So, no, I'm excited to quit the educational space in the next 2 years, because, and someone asked me once, they said, are you getting paid less because of your disability? Well, as you know, teachers don't make that much to begin with. And it's like, no, people are not coming to me because they've been in the education field. I know one of my aides, actually, funny story, one of my aides who I recently hired quit the education field because she fell in love with caregiving, and she said, I'm done with the bad paycheck. I want to work for myself and help people.
Interesting. I think there's a nice lesson there about doing work that is fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right? And what makes her happy.
Yeah, what makes her happy and what makes me happy is the journalism aspect. What makes me happy is the inspired people aspect.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. When one of the things that you do is trying to bring together the disabled and the non-disabled, those two worlds together.
Eesh. I say, I say eesh and make everyone laugh. And yes, everyone will get a chuckle out of that because that is the hardest job ever. I now have the hardest job ever. I thought being a teacher was difficult. Oh no, being a teacher is easy because I've been in it for so long. But being a journalist with cerebral palsy and trying to bridge that gap, yeesh, that's the hardest job ever.
You think because there's a lot of misunderstanding?
There is a lot of misconceptions. There is a lot of misconceptions. And one of the misconceptions that I'm finding is can't hold jobs.
Like, where do you start?
Oh, oh, I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you. That's why everyone should go listen to Ask Win, including Andy's episode, because the day that aired, I can tell you this, but the day your episode aired, I was actually in the middle of a mental test for my trust when I'm like, let's air this episode so people understand what I'm doing. And that mental health test didn't work out so well because math is not my strong point. And even though I manage my money quite well and where I know how to get money without asking my dad for money, and even though we have open money conversations in this house, we and even though he's helping me tremendously with my finances by not letting me pay rent and not just be nice about it, but at the same time, math is not my strong point, and it says in the report that we must get help with the trust, and we knew that straight from the beginning before the psychologist ever told me that I'm like, honey, math is not my strong point. She goes, everyone says that. Now do this math problem. And I'm like, I just said math is not my strong point. That is public knowledge. Now we know that I need help. Now I want to get this test over with so I can get you out of my life.
I think with all the things that you're doing, it's almost like you're leading by example. You're letting your actions speak louder than words in many cases because
Yeah, exactly.
you're just showing that if you can have a podcast, if you can publish many books, it's like the limitations of your disability really aren't that limiting.
Yeah. And in 2 years, my side hustle will become my full-time income. And I'm I'm also offering a new service where I teach people how to start a podcast. And because people say, I want to start a podcast, how do you do it? How do you do inspire money? And how do you do ask when? But yet I don't know where to begin. And I don't know about you, but um, at the time I was starting Ask When, I tried many different podcasting platforms, and I asked in podcast groups, I said, what is best hosting? And they go Lipson, Lybsyn. And I said, okay, Lipson. And everyone kept repeating Lipson, Lipson, Lipson. I finally bit the bullet because I was using Blog Talk video, and I remember I couldn't get a guest in, And I remember crying, really crying on and saying, I give up, I can't do this. And it wasn't because of me, it wasn't because of me and my journalistic style, it was because of the system I was using. So at the time, Blog Talk Radio is like not a very good podcasting host, not a very good like radio host either, so don't go investing your pennies in that one. And at the time, I was trying to figure out what to do with my podcast, and everyone kept saying, "Listen, you need this." And so now I'm actually offering at a $60 fee to people to help them start their own podcast, because I need people who will get it, because I hear that everyone wants to write a book. Every time Dick and Harry wants to write a book, but they look at me thinking I am willing, but I have a team around that I have to pay, of course, and I have a team to help me with my book. And now I want to give it back to the community. When I was in that community starting out, I knew nothing.
That's where we all start. We all start with nothing. And
Jesus, I knew nothing. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I upload? Now I'm a lazy podcaster. I hand it to someone else to upload it, but I taught her, my assistant, how to upload it, and she does a fantastic job. But you guys, if you want to start a podcast, contact me, because I know more about podcasting than you would like to think, as a disabled woman. And not very many people with disabilities are doing podcasting.
well, I think that you learned a lot over the course of 292 episodes.
Yeah.
You have the battle
And
scars.
yeah. Yeah, I have that'll go to go, but no, and we it's fun, but you won't make $1 million off podcasting. And since I am setting myself up for retirement, I did open Roth IRA, and Acon, through Acon is actually investing up, and Acon is for you guys. And the cool thing about Acon is if you have a PayPal account with a balance, you can invest from your PayPal account to your Acon account. If you guys want to support me on Patreon, Patreon is a subscription service that a lot of podcasters use, and it's free, and you set up different levels. And if you go to Patreon, ask win, and subscribe and support me that way, and then I can put money back into my Roth IRA and just set it to forget it.
What I like about what you're doing is that you're trying to develop multiple streams of income. It's not just one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly.
When I like to ask all of the Inspired Money guests, how do you define success?
Uh, when I have money in my bank account, it's a successful day, especially when I have money in my PayPal account that my dad doesn't look at. No, and it's because I set up that bank account as a minor, not, I didn't set up my credit card as a minor. It's because I set up the bank account as a minor. So I'm like, at the same, at one in one blink of an eye, I want to take them off. I want to rebalance my bank account, but at the same time, I'm like, who cares?
Well, thank you, Wynn. Thank you for being a role model to so many people and sharing your amazing story with us. Where can the Inspired Money listener find you online and find your books and learn more about you?
Well, my books are available on Amazon. If you type in Win, W-I-N, Kelly, K-E-L-Y, Charles, Charles, and my books are available on all major ebook retailers. So if you guys want to go buy a book off of iBooks and on Nook, you can go support me on that one. And of course, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can find it in all your favorite podcasting apps, including on Spotify and hopefully soon to be the Alexa skill. So yes, you can hear my voice as you're brushing your teeth in the morning, which is a little bit scary that Alexa's now coming into our life. And I'm sorry, but people will get mad at Andy because I made Alexa go off. So I'm sorry for that. And so that's why I call her a lady in the can, because because every time I say her name, she goes off. So we don't like that as podcasters. So and the and so I hope I just inspired the money community to start a podcast or write a book and get those multiple streams of income going, because the more multiple streams of income you have, the better.
Thank you, Wynn, and we'll be watching you closely because I think that you've still got big things on the horizon. So we look forward to seeing where you're going.
Thank you.
So what was your favorite inspired money moment? Could you tell how close Wynn was to her mother? Losing her mom was devastating, but instead of letting it get her down and stopping her, Wynn took that event and it motivated her. She created a vision board and set her mind on writing a book. Wynn is really sharp. I hope you're as inspired by her as I am, and that her attitude to work through obstacles and to roll with the punches. Whenever something gets you down, I hope Wynn will motivate you. I know I'll carry her message with me. If you had a different favorite inspired money moment and takeaway, let me know by going to inspiredmoney.fm/Facebook. Let's continue the conversation there. If you like Inspired Money, please leave us a review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It really does help others to find the show. And you know what else you can do? Tell your friends about it. You like it, maybe they will too. Tell them about it, email them your favorite episode, maybe even grab their phone and subscribe for them. Thank you so much for listening. The music you're listening to right now and all other music on today's show is by the amazing Jim Kimo West. Aloha, Kimo. Have an inspired week and do something that scares you, because that's where the magic happens.